call this meeting to order. Flag pledge led by Commissioner Kohlers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. If anybody has their cell phones on, please silence them. We're looking for a motion to
Move
approve
approval
the
of the
agenda.
agenda. Move it.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Passes. Okay, no new employees today, apparently. Any public appearances? Probably not. The consent agenda.
Move the
Everybody-
consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Public Works, I think that's you, Seth.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. A couple items from Public Works today. The first to consider final payment for SP 052601023. This project was the replacement of the collapsed culvert on County Road 1 last year. I'm asking the board to approve final payment amount of $1,546.57 to Midwest Contracting for that project.
I'll move the final payment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seth, you were pretty happy with the job?
Yeah, it turned out good.
Have you worked with this contractor?
Midwest, yes,
Okay.
multiple times, especially when I was in Lyon County before coming here. They did a lot of work for us.
And wasn't that their home area?
Yeah, they're based out of Marshall.
Okay.
Any other questions for Seth?
Resolution on 14.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
The next item I have is to consider a resolution of support for a Trunk Highway 14 infra grant. And infra stands for infrastructure for Rebuilding America. If Commissioner Lipke and Commissioner Kohlers remembers back when we attended the Trunk Highway 14 partnership meeting, one of the federal delegates there had mentioned that they had heard just that morning about a potential grant program that could possibly provide funding for completing the expansion of Trunk Highway 14 from Nicollet to New Ulm. And so that same day after MnDOT had heard that, they had followed up, and this is the grant program that that federal delegate was mentioning. I believe the DOT is going to submit the 3 projects that they identified for possibly the build grant, of which none of them got funded. They're going to submit those 3 projects for a potential for an infra grant. And I'm hoping that potentially maybe one of the 3 will get funded, since none of those 3 got funded through the build program. So attached to your board packet there is a grant resolution of support from the county, and the DOT was requesting if Nicollet County would be interested in supporting their application. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on this item.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I think there's a couple, just typographical, is that what you're gonna?
Yeah,
correct?
the header on that is, we have a spelling problem.
Oh,
Okay.
infrastructure.
Infrastructure. And also in the third, whereas, we probably should remove the words "to exist." It says, whereas US Highway 14 from New Ulm to Nicollet has a history of severe and fatal crashes that will continue to exist. I just would say that will continue. This problem is going to continue on to the future if
Yes.
we don't do anything, you know. And if I might, Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
so Seth, I'm fine with pursuing this, but sort of like the build grant and sort of like the corridors of commerce. You see, this infra grant is about economic vitality,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine, because I do think Highway 14 is important to economic vitality. But I had a meeting with some of our representatives at the state level, and they're starting their legislative session. And they say, it'd be nice if MnDOT had a corridors of safety program, in
Sure.
which safety was the key factor in assessing whether the work will be done. And I'm not upset with you, but I just feel I have to say this everywhere I go almost, that we seem to be okay in trying to find grant funds for commerce, but when it comes to grant funds for safety first, we seem to be, at least at the moment in the state, at a loss.
Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't looked at every aspect of what the infra grant actually covers, and I'm sure safety is a component of that. But I hear what you're saying.
I thought in Portland the other night, didn't they say safety was gonna be one of the emphases?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the discussions that's happening at the state level as we start the session today, is
Okay.
that whether you have a surplus and you want to use part of the surplus for road projects, and we've heard back and forth on that, and we don't see any sign of getting actually the funds into the transportation fund to do this. So I think folks like our representatives are saying, if maybe we have to do this, focus on safety as the primary criteria for getting a grant, because as long as this economic vitality, the safety issues don't become the major factor in making a decision. They're a factor.
Did you wanna amend the motion to include?
No, I just
Okay.
wanted to vent because this
Okay.
is ridiculous.
Anybody else?
I agree with Commissioner, and we talk about that at Highway 14 all the time, and Terry, when you represented the area, you did a good job of continuing to visit about that. It felt like, and I can't recall, because I think you and Clark were there when they created the corridors of commerce, which, lights up some conservative eyes more than it might light up some more liberal eyes. And, that you're striking a chord with everyone, I think, on this board and who lives in this area when you
Okay.
talk about corridors of safety.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt if I
No,
Mr.
you're
Chair.
good.
So John and I were at the Cortland Council meeting the other night and had chance to talk with folks who are first responders on these accidents, and just the impact on the folks who have to go, whose duty it is to help those who are injured on Highway 14, and the impact is large on these safety issues. It's the victims, the families, the friends, the community, the first responders.
Well said.
And added to that, Nicollet Fire Department has a lot of people that work in Mankato during the day, so Cortland did most of the emergency work on all three of those accidents inside of 30 hours or something. Any more discussion? Guess we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Marrow?
Yes.
Ralph? Yes. Kemp?
Yes.
Kohler?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes. Passes. Okay. I guess we're gonna take. Go ahead. Go.
So, I'm sorry, so Seth, just as we were starting the meeting this morning, we got another constituent inquiry about the project on 12.
Yes.
And at least, and I can't vouch for this, but since you're here, some question about natural gas service and cutting off natural gas service. Do you know anything about that, and could you share that
There's
information
the
with
natural
us?
gas line there.
Well, there's a natural gas line that runs in the right of way the entire length of the project on the west side of County Road 12, and that line will have to be moved or replaced because our construction will impact that. But the gas company will have to make plans to continue service to those that need it.
So folks who do need the natural gas should not expect let's call it a significant cut off of service?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, it'll be the gas company's responsibility to maintain their service.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Seth about anything? Anything we have here?
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Well, I guess we'll call the Drainage Authority meeting to order.
We probably should recess our.
Okay, so we'll place our regular meeting in recess and convene the Drainage Authority meeting. I guess they have a consent agenda.
The-
Just a second.
Go ahead, you take it.
I'll move the consent.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Any public appearances for the ditch drainage authority? And Mandy's coming up.
Yep, I have some information regarding a potential hearing date. Chuck Brandel from ISG and Ron Winquist, the viewer, have submitted the reports for the final hearing for the improvement of Project CD 77, Lateral 2. Therefore, I'm requesting a hearing date of March 24th, 2020 at 10 a.m. With this, notices to landowners will be mailed on March 1st, and this will also include the commissioner paper packets on March 1st.
Any questions?
I would make a motion to set that date for the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll adjourn the drainage authority meeting and go back to our regular meeting. Chair's report. It's not that big. I attended the Dean Enter retirement reception up at Public Works. Had a good turnout. A lot of employees and former employees showed up to wish him well. And I attended the Cortland City Council meeting with Terry on Monday night. Denny?
Since our last meeting, I had 2 MRCI events, one for their general board meeting and then an executive committee meeting, multi-county HRA meeting, and that's all I have to report on.
Terry?
Thank you. I also went to the Dean Enter retirement. That was a nice event. Went to the St. Peter Community Free Clinic event. They received a nice grant for the service that they're doing here in the county. Let's see. Went to the Cortland meeting along with you, John, and I think that's it for right now.
And I think that worked out pretty well.
Yes, I think it did.
John, I did omit something from my list.
Yes.
The liaison meeting with North Mankato, I'd nearly forgotten that.
Did you want to?
Some ways it was forgettable.
Some parts of it, but
Marie?
I had no meetings.
Jack?
As Commissioner Kemp just mentioned, the county city meeting with North Mankato on the 30th. Also attended a Maple Policy Board meeting on the 6th of February. And it's been quiet, but it looks like it's going to start getting busy. So that's all I have.
Ryan, you have anything?
Just a couple announcements. Actually, regarding the free clinic here in St. Peter, our Health and Human Service staff are helping out with that operation as well. So Cassie will be coming to an upcoming workshop to explain our role in that, but it sounds like it's working out well so far for those who need that. Just an update on North Mankato, our service building there. We have the bid opening slated for March 19th, with bid approval coming to the board on March 24th. And then regarding the broadband consultants, I've talked to a consultant about a proposal, and I should have that this week. I'll then meet with Commissioner Drannell and Kemp on that proposal to discuss it and review and see if that's the direction we want to go and bring that back to the board.
Thank you. Commissioner meetings and conferences, we need any that should be approved?
I do nothing for approval, Mr. Chair, but next week's workshop, we have 2 commissioners that will be on assignment in other lands. So I don't have anything pressing for that workshop, so with the remaining 3 commissioners like to cancel. It's hard to have a good discussion and provide information if only 3 of the 5 hear it. So, like I said, I don't have anything that's urgent that needs immediate discussion, so.
I can always find something to do.
Really?
I was gonna say, it works out well for Commissioner Drannell to miss that, or have that one canceled.
Do you need a motion to cancel?
No, we'll just send notice out that that's
Okay.
been canceled.
We're gonna miss the department head also?
We'll take that off. Heather was scheduled to present, we'll work her into another future meeting for her presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before we leave kind of housekeeping issues, I would ask our administrator to draft a letter of congratulations and thanks to Heather Bandine
Oh,
from the AMC, who, and all of you have met, she was our facilitator when we did our, and she's leaving the AMC.
Oh.
And I just thought it would be a nice gesture on our part to thank her for her continued service, and she's been a real asset
Yeah.
in lots of areas. And Ryan and I particularly work with her on the Education and Training Committee, so
she'll be difficult to replace.
very difficult to replace. So
Yep,
if
I'll
that
send
would
her.
be acceptable to the group, I'd ask consideration of that.
Well, thank you for thinking of that. Anybody else? Go. Approve per diems, expenses?
Move it. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
Sorry.
Motion, second to adjourn. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Just
Passes.
thinking you beat my record.
I was just gonna say that.